Arrowhead Stadium is no longer going to be the future home of the Kansas City Chiefs come 2031. Everyone, if you have not heard the news, that is what's going to happen. They came to that agreement today. Clark Hunt, Mark Donovan talked about it at, I'm actually not entirely sure where, but over in Kansas somewhere. Obviously, it's going to be on the Kansas side of Kansas City. They're going to bring a brand new stadium, a brand new facility into the Olathe area of Kansas. And that's where we're going to see, this entire week, really, the last couple of days for the Chiefs have been disappointing, going back to Patrick Mahomes hurting himself, tearing his ACL two games ago. And now there's more bad news. I mean, you can look at it however you want to, whether it's bad news or good news. The reality is this is going to be an exciting opportunity, not only for new Chiefs fans, for a new stadium, to see different things. I'm not super pumped about lessening the amount of seats there, but it is what it is, and there's not much else you can do about it at this point. But you guys, we are going to talk all about that, a lot more today on the Q&A version of RGR Football. Welcome in. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that sub button right now. And yes, you're right. Sorry. My apologies. I'm not the pronunciation police. That's not going to be something I'm very good at. So I appreciate you being in there and helping me out with that one. But you guys, there's a lot that came out today. Obviously, Gardner Minshew did not tear his ACL, but it is a season-ending knee injury, essentially a very deep bone bruise for him, a little bit of a fracture from what I understand. They did bring in Shane Buechele. Lots of news, like I said, bring Shane Buechele back. He is going to back up Chris Oladokun for Thursday Night Football on Christmas against the Denver Broncos. Chiefs are leaving Missouri side, going over to the Kansas side. Everyone's going to have their opinions. At the end of the day, I'm going to lead this show off with how I feel about this, because I was not born in Kansas City, was not raised in Kansas City, and I only lived in the area for a few years, 4 years before we ended up moving. So I'll be honest. I love Arrowhead Stadium, everything about it, even the stuff that isn't great. And the memories made there are not going to change. There's lots of people, a lot of you fans will have great memories there. Those will always be. It is an unfortunate situation to see Arrowhead no longer be the home of the Chiefs in 2031, but it's going to be an opportunity for not just, the owners to make more money, which is their biggest goal, not necessarily to win championships, it's to win and to make more money. That's pretty much what it is, but it's an opportunity to see a new developed stadium, something that maybe Clark Hunt will want to take more pride in, because one of the things that we have seen is that it's not the best kept stadium. It's not. I know they've done a good job with everything underneath the field and making sure that it's presentable. And they've finally gotten more big events to come into Kansas City and be at Arrowhead. But now they're going to be more open with the dome to have different types of events at the stadium. It's going to be a completely different atmosphere. It's going to be more state of the art. It's going to look newer. It's going to feel newer. So maybe that's me. I'm excited about possibly, seeing that in the future. We'll always love Arrowhead. We'll always be home. We'll always be the place that we all remember. It's not going to be the loudest stadium in the world anymore, which is always disappointing. But, at the end of the day, this is what it comes down to. But I am excited that something new will be coming to Kansas City, regardless of what side it's on. That is always something that I look forward to seeing advancing, new technologies being used, stadiums being used. Hopefully everyone that does end up going, when they see the stadium, will have an enjoyable experience, because that's what this is all about. So I will get into all of your questions as well. Ryan is unable to be here tonight, dealing with a lot of technical issues over on his side. Power still out where he's at. He's been dealing with that. So appreciate y'all being in here with me. You all know this is going to be the Q&A. I'm going to answer your questions. If you guys put the question marks in front of the questions, it's far easier for me to bring it out, to star it, so we can talk about it on the stream. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it, you guys. First thing we got here is from one of our members and buddy, Daryl Sparks. Thank you for the 5. I've been a fan since the 70s. I may be done. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life and how to be a fan. I will say that I don't believe that moving a stadium from one side of the state to the other side of the state to a different state, still in the same city, quote unquote, should stop you from being fans of your favorite football team. Okay, I don't believe that it's not gonna change how I view the Chiefs. If it does for you, then I mean that's up to you, right? We're always going to be here talking about them as far as I know. This is one of the things that we all get to do. The team is not going to be changing. It will still be the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not going to change their name. So I understand being a little bit upset now if they moved out of state completely to like somewhere that's not even close. I think I could understand that. But at least in my mind, maybe because I lived in Michigan most of my life, it's not a huge issue for me, but that's for everybody else, right? Like that's for your own things to figure out. I hopefully you sit with this for a little bit, Daryl, and you change your mind to still be a fan of this team, because there's still a lot of really good things and really fun things that are going to be coming, not just your way, but the Chiefs' way as we continue on with Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback and the future of this team. So just kind of sit with it for a little bit, and then we'll see what happens. Okay. So thank you very much for the support as always. Hopefully, we can keep you around, because we don't want to lose people just because of changes in what they're doing with the team. So thank you very much. And FLDB, one of our moderators and members here, thank you for your question. Do you think that if the Missouri politicians didn't group in the Royals in a package deal, that the vote would have been more likely to pass? It was up to Jackson County to keep the stadium. So probably that's not something I really can give you a good answer to, because I'm not a politician. I'm not in the meetings. I don't know what is attached to these bills, what's attached to different things. Because we all know that behind closed doors, there's different things that are talked about, different things that are discussed, and different things that are attached to each agreement that we can't really know. So I would say it would be more likely, sure, but at the end of the day, Jackson County has had, you can count on all of the fingers and toes and everything, you've had multiple years to build infrastructure around Arrowhead. As somebody who traveled from Nebraska to Arrowhead to watch Chiefs games, there are no hotels close, none, and there are no good hotels within a reasonable distance. We're talking about Power and Light District. That's it. Like, the infrastructure to have Arrowhead there, they've had the opportunity to build all of everything that they needed to for multiple years, and they basically said no. So I don't really think that this is anybody but Jackson County's fault. So that's how I feel about it. But I don't have a great answer for the root of the question, because I'm just not I'm in there. I don't know everything in detail about that. So I appreciate you, Frankie, as always, one of our moderators here, and you guys. Hopefully we'll have some more information, not just on that, but with obviously the Chiefs out of the postseason. We will hopefully have some live watches with you guys about for the playoffs. Ryan and I will get more information to you about that with everything going through. So thank you guys for being here. I'm gonna try and catch up on some questions here, because I'm trying to pick through some. As you know, without Ryan here, it's a lot more difficult for me to go through and talk about, answer questions, try to keep my eye on the chat at the same time. So I'm also probably not going to try to focus too much on the stadium change, because one, that's going to be probably 5-6 years from now that we even see any fruits of that in terms of the Chiefs moving over there on that side. So we'll just kind of wait and see what happens and talk about it then. Boom. Lee, thank you for being here. Coaches who should be gone or evaluated every coaches who should be gone or evaluated every offensive coach, question mark, also need offensive coordinator who could become a head coach. What about Daboll? So this is something that Ryan and I have talked about. I think he's on board as well with Brian Daboll as someone that could come in. I think not just be an offensive minded offensive coordinator, like somebody who could push the envelope a little bit, bring different ideas, but also a mentality and personality that I think, while not necessarily rub Andy Reid the wrong way, but give him something else, right? Give him a different person to help just kind of get after him just a little bit, right? So I think that Dayball would be interesting. I know he was on the staff in 2012. That was over a decade ago. Different things are what you have, right? You don't always have you don't always see the same guys coming in from different this coaching staff to that coaching staff. So different things happen. I think that Dayball is somebody that would definitely help. And I don't necessarily disagree with you that every offensive coach should be evaluated for sure. And some of them should absolutely be fired or given different responsibilities. I don't believe that there's anything happening developmental wise with the wide receiver room. So that would be my first area to attack. So appreciate you, Lee. Oh, ooh, boy. Lots of questions in here. Okay. I'm going to try to speed through some of these so we can get caught up on stuff. And you guys, again, if you're new here, please, this is RGR Football. We are here every Monday. We are here after every game. We give you guys as much information and try to teach the game as best we can. Unfortunately, because this is not only a short week, it is Christmas week. I will not be having a film room on Wednesday. I will give you guys a game plan, quote unquote, video for the Chiefs Christmas game against the Broncos, and then we'll kind of revisit film after that and see what goes down, because watching that game yesterday, not one part of me wanted to watch that game back and give you guys a film room. No offense. Like that's there was nothing fun to watch in that game or really break down. So we'll just kind of move forward. Peter, thank you for your question. Do you guys like Jawan Taylor, FAU, and Nick Bolton? Do you guys feel like Taylor, FAU, and Nick Bolton will have trade value? I mean, being honest, FAU has no trade value because not only was he not the person, the player that he was coming out, they did ask him to be something different than he is, right? He was a guy who won with speed, had a lot of different tools in the bag for as a pass rusher, and they asked him to put on some weight and be more of a run first and then learn how to be a pass rusher. So, and then he's coming off an injury. So I don't think you have any trade value there. Jawan Taylor is a very big contract. I don't think you really, and not only that, he comes with the headache of penalties. I don't think there's much trade value there. And then Nick Bolton, sure. I think Nick Bolton has trade value. The contract is what it is, but it's not something like a day 2 pick. We're talking about a day 3 pick at best. So not a great option in terms of actual value to help your draft out like immediately. Mike, one of the guys who's in here all the time asking questions. I love that we get to see having all of the questions you get in here, Micah. Will cornerback Watson and then DB Cook price themselves out of Kansas City in free agency? Both have high PFF grades. If so, what does that do to McDuffie? All right, so as you all know, Brian and I do not care about PFF grades. A lot of people don't. And I appreciate what it gives fans, what it can do. Just giving you a base value, that's cool, something you can see and kind of say this is good, this is bad, based on play on the field. Brian Cook is not going to price himself out of Kansas City. Brian Cook has not been a fantastic safety. He's been better this year. He's been more up than down, I think, recently. So, I mean, he's not a free safety. He is a split field safety and a guy who can give you plays in the box. However, they've had to use him in that role as a free safety or just more of the deep safety when they play cover 3 or cover 1, because he's the only guy that can do it. So I'm going to say no, because he's not only not been able to really elevate his play or develop a ton as a true safety, but now he's been hurt multiple times this year as well as previous. And I mean, Watson might. I don't know. It depends on what they do with Trent McDuffie. Because he's still under a year of control. If they trade him, if they extend him, all these things can affect what happens with Watson. So that's really what that comes down to. And Chef Boy, I've never cared about PFF. Not once. You'll never find me caring about PFF. All right. So gonna find as many of these questions as I can, guys. I apologize on this. It's definitely a tough thing to run. I don't know how Ryan did it before I got here, to be very honest with you. So much easier to have two people in here picking out questions. Ba-dum-bum. Okay. All right. Thank you all for being patient with me. It's gonna be a night, not just because we got football on, lots of news coming in today, just everything overall. Swag, Ryan and Dan, unfortunately, just me tonight. Drake May looks legit. Did you guys see this when he came out of UNC? And why can't Pat throw the ball that accurately? Footwork issues. So there's this is a very loaded question. First and foremost, yes, I saw this upside with Drake May when he came out. That's why he was my QB2 right behind Caleb Williams. Like that's and we're starting to see Caleb Williams do the things that I thought he could do coming out of USC. So yes, I absolutely saw this as a possibility because all the tools, the mental processing as we're seeing right now from Drake May are all there. I will say that Patrick Mahomes made a lot more of those throws when he was younger too. Um, that's a fact. And I also think that over years of playing in Kansas City and Patrick working with Andy Reid and changing the way that he's seen, a lot of guys when they get older, they want to win with their brain. And that does it shows itself in a lot of different ways. And Patrick has done that, right? He's turned his game into pre-snap reads, understanding where the ball needs to go quickly because we are basically an offense based on yards after catch in Kansas City. That's a fact. And that's how it's been over the past 3 or 4 years. So I can't tell you that it's a footwork issue because he has made throws like that before. But this offense and specifically Andy Reid does not ask Patrick Mahomes to make throws like that consistently. And then the problem is it doesn't feel like Patrick can step up in the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield. A lot of times, what we see right now is a lack of trust to be able to manipulate and manage a pocket to where he can kind of step up. If you're watching Justin Herbert right now with the Chargers, you're seeing him move up into a pocket, not just bail immediately. So there's a couple of different things that I think go into it. Footwork is one of them, but we do see up and down footwork from Patrick Mahomes where he has a lazy foot or he just doesn't actually set his feet and get up and throw. So, but then we do see him do that as well. So there's a lot of things that go into that. No, you're wrong. You're just wrong. So go ahead and watch some more tape, get caught up on that, and watch what he does pre-snap, knowing where the ball goes. That's how I understand people don't really know much about football and watching players when they say Patrick Mahomes can't read a defense or is average at best at reading a defense. It's just not true. It hasn't been true for quite a few years now. So we'll just go ahead and keep that rolling. Daryl, another one here for you. Thank you for being a member for 61 months. Whoo! Isn't this a Merry Christmas? Thanks, hon. Again, it's up to you to determine how you feel about it, but I get it. I understand it's a frustrating reality to deal with for some of you who have grown with that team as well as the stadium. So I feel for you, Daryl. Hopefully you can sit with you for a few days and you can grow to be you just be there with it and it can be okay. We don't want to lose you as not just a person that contributes here from question perspective, a member perspective, but also a fan. That would be no fun for anybody. So hold on, man. Hopefully you can stay around. I'm Micah here with another one. Cowboys secondary is trash. Diggs returned and was toast yesterday. Will Jerry Jones be aggressive and possibly trade a first and a fifth to Kansas City for McDuffie? They have 2 first rounds and 3 fifth round picks. I mean, I don't know, man. I do think you can manipulate Jerry a little bit, though. That's something that I think we've kind of seen, especially when he traded Micah Parsons, right? Like he was adamant in trying to bring in a pass rusher. So you might be able to push him a little bit in that direction of trading for Trent McDuffie. I'm not going to rule it out, but it would be. It's something that I find interesting about Jerry Jones in the sense that he actively traded Micah Parsons, said they were going to be okay, and then went and traded for another edge rusher, right? Or a pass rusher, excuse me, not edge rusher, a pass rusher in Quentin Williams. So that's interesting. I do think a first round pick, if you can get him for a first round pick, is something you will absolutely have to consider. Just a realistic expectation, I think. So it's definitely a conversation that will have to be had at some point this offseason. Another one here from our buddy FLDB. Dan, what is your opinion on the Michigan offense coordinator that left to go to Missouri? I hear that he likes calling checkdowns. I also hear that he was being held back play call wise. So I don't like anything about Michigan's offense over the past 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I've never found it fun to watch. I've never found it innovative, and I've never found it very good. So it's run based. So that's probably why they went and did that, because they want to be able to feature the running back in Missouri. So I've never been a fan of the offense, the offensive coordinator, anything that has to do with Michigan football outside of the fact that they won a championship a few years ago. Like, that's literally been it. Excuse me. Brad, thank you, man. Thanks for being here. Would you draft David Bailey from Texas to for the Chiefs in the top 10? And have you done any film on him? So I have not done film on him because I am a DB and tight end breakdown person for Bleacher Report. You guys can find all my reports up on Bleacher Report right now for all the positions that I have and all the players that I have watched to this point and done those reports on. So I can't tell you with any confidence if I would draft him. I can't tell you with any confidence if he'd be good, at least at this point in time. Now, there are also reports up on Bleacher Report for those players as well that I have not watched, because we have a great team over there. So if you're interested in going to read those and making a statement for yourself, I encourage you to do so. Excuse me. All right. We'll keep going here. Another one here from Brad. What will it take for Veach in this offseason in the draft and free agency to reclaim the throne in AFC West and the AFC in general and the Super Bowl? This is the big question, right? The end-all, be-all of what it's going to take for the Chiefs to reset, retool. This is not a rebuild by any stretch. However, they can make it a rebuild in some ways, because you can possibly trade away McDuffie, you can possibly trade away Chris Jones. I'm not saying they're going to do that. I'm just saying that those are on the table, and you can feasibly see them doing that. And at the end of the day, for me, what it's going to take is commitment to the run game, not just schematically, but with a running back that actually can make plays and explosive plays. Every week I watch football and I watch these running backs take advantage of wide open rushing lanes. The Chiefs' offensive line, when they're healthy, can move people off the ball, but their run scheme is so undiverse. It's in between the tackles. Everyone knows that's where the ball has been going, and it's where it's going to go, and the running back can't get it outside. Like, they just refuse to do that, except for a pitch here and there. So, like, real commitment to the run game, excuse me, is first and foremost. Getting healthy is the next part, right? You have to be able to see your offensive line get healthy, Patrick Mahomes get healthy, and that's the foundation. In the draft and in free agency, they need defensive tackle help desperately, probably in both. You're also going to need at least a corner. Christian Fulton will not be on this team next year, and you might not have Trent McDuffie or Jalen Watson. So Noah Williams has been a very good player, but he's still the one guy, right? If you have Jalen Watson and Noel Williams, and you don't have Trent McDuffie, and vice versa, you still have to add a corner. So whether that's free agency or the draft, you do have to make those. You still probably need to draft or bring in a tackle at some point. I'm not sure where they're going to do it, when they're going to do it, but maybe day 2 of the draft, a right tackle, a backup right tackle would be, or somebody that can vie to be your starter of the future. I think that's on the table as well. And then a tight end, and probably another wide receiver. Um, a different body type of wide receiver. Granted, it won't matter, but I still think they need to have a body type on the outside that can do more than just what we have seen from the Chiefs wide receivers to this point. I know that's a lot. I know that's a lot to happen, but in reality, it's not as much as I think a lot of people project needing to happen for the Chiefs. Steven, one of our members, thank you for being here, man. What do you think of having Rasheed Wallace, I assume, on the show as a guest? He's a huge Chiefs fan. If anyone knows how to get in touch with Rasheed Wallace, I'd be more than happy to have him on. But not only is that man rich and famous, I don't have contact information for people like that. Even though he is a former Piston and world champion, I don't know if I can get in contact with him. So I would appreciate it if anybody does. Right? That'd be a lot of cool. That'd be a lot of fun. Also, hear from Steven. Do you think that the resentment of losing a Super Bowl for the second time for the same reasons affected the team's belief in the coaching staff? No, I don't think so, because that's not just a coaching staff issue. It's a team building strategy, right? They lost with the same fundamental flaw. The first time was injury. There was nothing you could do about that. There was nothing they could have done. They had the offensive line built to compete for a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, both of their tackles got hurt and they lost an interior offensive lineman. That's hard to replicate. It's hard to plan for. The second time they went in knowing, at least in my eyes, they went in knowing they were weak at tackle and didn't do so much to help it. I think that the bigger issue is that they went in last year knowing that tackle was a weak spot, and they went in this year knowing defensive tackle and running back was a weak spot. And honestly, safety was a weak spot. And they did nothing to address it. That's where I'm starting to say, well, there's some blind spots here for the staff in general that they aren't really seeing what's happening. I don't think there's resentment there at all. I think it's just you see a team go to the Super Bowl, go to the Super Bowl, go to the Super Bowl, and you think this winning philosophy makes sense, right? Unfortunately, it's not always going to be that way. And yes, Chef Boy, you're right. They do need a defensive end. That's something we talked about a lot. And that's it just, escaped my mind for a second. Appreciate you calling me out there. Kellen, maybe Clark Hunt will increase his spending now. I bet not. You're right. You're right. He's not going to. Absolutely not going to. So that can be thrown out the window. If anything, even though he's going to get more money now, he might even cheapen how much he spends. I don't think that'll happen, but we'll see. Steven, thank you, man, for another question. Knowing how desperately we need an explosive running back for this offense, how high are you willing to take one in the draft? If they could get 3 or 4 day 2 picks, I would say yes. Take one on day 2. That is where they need to invest in one. 4th round, okay, you can talk me into that too, but I still think day 2 is where they need to get one. There are some very good running backs in this class. I'm not going to say it's as good as it was last year, but it's still a very good class. And I do think that you're going to be able to find one day 2 to early day 3, somebody that can actually contribute on not just sit on your active roster for essentially no reason. All right. Hopefully everyone is enjoying their Monday evening, even with the news coming in. I'm going to go back through here and try to find some more questions from you guys because I don't want to leave topics on the table. I got you from here, Daniel, there. All right. Does the fact that Andy and Brett did not draft and develop a backup for Patrick for this very situation illustrate how dependent they were on Patrick carrying the team? No. There are a lot more reasons for that. A lot more reasons for that. But teams typically do not draft and develop backup quarterbacks. There aren't almost any that you draft and develop. If anything, they are veterans that are brought in to just execute a specific game plan. That's what it is. And they have one in Gardner Minshew, but he got hurt. So I don't buy into that, Steven. I think that what we just saw is a freak accident, right? And Michael, we've done the Josiah Trotter question already. I appreciate how enthusiastic you are about it, but I'm not watching him because I don't watch linebackers, and I have right now no bandwidth to watch him. So I appreciate how enthusiastic you are, but I'm not watching him right now. Maybe Ryan will do it during draft season, but he did. We have addressed this question multiple times. Back to your point, Stephen. Yeah, it's about veterans as your backup quarterbacks, and they like Chris Oladokun. They like Shane Buechele. Multiple guys that they have actually brought in, whether it was UDFA's or late round draft picks, and they wanted to bring them in. But at the end of the day, it's about getting someone that can operate the offense. Most quarterbacks, especially young guys, if they're not getting reps in practice, they aren't going to be able to develop along the path, right? It's more about those small incremental things that happen that allow you to get into the game and practice and play. So when it comes to backups, they absolutely just needed a veteran that can operate Andy's offense. So I don't really buy into that theory. Stephen Harold, thank you for being one of our members. And the question: what does Oladokun have to show in the next 2 games to have a larger role in OTAs and training camp next year, to have that larger role and possibly be the backup on next year's team? So I think he has to keep doing what he did yesterday. And that was make some plays out of structure. But I think the big thing that he's going to have to show to possibly win the backup job is that he can operate within structure. Now, there is questions to be had about whether the structure can be operated with right now, because the tackles are fifth and sixth options, right? They're not those guys that you want to have in there. The interior line is good. They can still kind of run the ball from time to time. And now, right now, they're coming on a short week. So you can't get as much into the game plan as you probably want to for Oladokun. But being able to win outside of structure, making some plays within structure, getting the ball to your playmakers, as best you can, right? That's all you can really hope for Chris Oladokun right now, is that he can continue to showcase an explosive play here or there. I like the fact that on the drive to end the first half, he found Xavier Worthy on a natural within the progression out route, and it was a really good route, and he got it to him right there at the sideline to make a play. So I think that there's something to be said about what he can do. It's just about if the structure is good enough for him to showcase what he can do. That's really what it is, what it comes down to for me, Steve. Cheesehead CA. Is there a retired quarterback worth taking a look at for the start of the 26th season? If so, who? I'm not coming at you, CA, but there's absolutely there's no reason to be looking at retired quarterbacks to play for the start of the season. I know what Philip Rivers is doing right now is kind of insane, but he runs that specific offense that the Colts run for his high school football team. He talks to the coach of Shane. He talked to Shane Steichen every single week. Like, there was a ton of rapport there before he came out of retirement. So no, I don't believe so. I appreciate the optimism, though. Okay. I'm starting to feel bad. Okay. There's another one here from Steven. What are you preparing for Christmas dinner? Favorite Christmas desserts? So I have a 6-pound prime rib that is currently in my fridge. I'm gonna smoke that with. I think I'm gonna do an herb and garlic compound butter this year. I've gotta make that, and I'm gonna put it on the prime rib, put it on the smoker, and we'll see how that turns out. And we're gonna do some roasted root vegetables. I'm gonna make some dinner rolls. I don't really know what my like favorite Christmas dessert is, but in terms of like the classic thing that we do every year that I will always do every year is making, the spritz butter cookies. Like that's probably the one thing that I equate with Christmas more than anything else. All right, Stephen, we got a super chat from you here, my friend. Thank you very much. Ryan, Dan and Ryan rant for this 2025 team after it's over. Go nuclear. I think that's something Ryan and I have had conversations about. Absolutely. Both of us want to get honest on a chat and do that for you guys. So that's something we will absolutely do. Thank you very much for the support, the super chat. Oof, that's what I thought. I saw comments start to blow up here, and it was just more bots. Perry, thank you very much for the 5. Would you rather spend money or draft a running back? And he had success with To, so why doesn't he trust true X's? A prospect that I really like is Deuce Robinson, 6'6" monster. So I don't I mean, I'm always for drafting a running back over spending on one in free agency, just because tread on the tires. You don't have to worry about injuries. You're not paying these running backs a ton more to have them on your roster, even though they are experienced in that sense. I'm always looking for the younger talent myself, and that tread. It really is a big deal for running backs. Um, I think that the big thing that I'm seeing right now with the X's, right, the true quote unquote true X receivers, is that To, while he was a true X, that he was a freak. He was a freak. So yeah, he was an X receiver. He could play anywhere though. And I'm also seeing that Andy Reid, while he says he wants receivers that can play everywhere and do everything, they're still role players. He still has them executing a role. Like they can line up here, they can line up there, but they're not running a diverse route tree right now. They are fulfilling a role, and that is something that I don't like. So that seems to be something that is disconnecting with Andy Reid in the wide receiver room as the further he gets into this with the speedy guys. And again, I don't have any issues with any of drafting Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice. I still think that those guys are very good players and can develop, but they have to be able to do it on their own as well as within the offense. So that's just something that we need to see going forward. And I don't know anything about Deuce Robinson, but I again glad you guys are giving me names to look up here. Thank you very much, Perry, for the super chat. And one here from Chiefs 8288. I hate leaving Arrowhead, but the only thing in it that I want at the new stadium is the world record for loudest indoor facility. That's a fantastic way to look at it. I think is just continue to try and build upon that. You can't just leave and then have the loudest stadium be somewhere else. I think you still got to hold up that truth in Kansas City as best you possibly can. So I love that viewpoint. The Buzzed podcast. Appreciate you being here. Chiefs needed up Andy Heck and actually practice running the ball. For Spags, his defense can't practice against the run because Andy doesn't run during practices. Great work, guys. Thank you very much. That's awesome to hear. And yeah, this is something we've talked about. I need to find the actual quote. Like, I want to hear the actual quote. I want to hear where it came from because I've been parroting the same thing. Maybe it wasn't confirmed somewhere, but that is how I've felt about it pretty much all year long, and it does show up because there's just not a diverse run game. There's not a diverse ability to come in and execute those plays on a consistent level, and we're seeing the defense having to do different things to be able to make that possible. So it's interesting to me. But thank you very much for the kind words. Appreciate you. Trevor, thank you for the $4.99. Change is always scary. Got to give it a chance to work before you judge it, and that's how I feel about it too. I'm interested to see what they're going to do, how it's going to look, how the state of the art technology, what they're going to put in there. I'm excited about that. I think it's pretty cool to see new things happening. And as much as I love Arrowhead, and I know all of you do too, I think new innovative things are a good thing, and I'm excited about what there could be there. Chris, make it the loudest indoor stadium. And again, that's along the same lines as what we just saw from one of our super chats. And yeah, I'm along the same. I'm along there with you. I want to see that happen for Kansas City too. Like I think that would be really cool to see loudest indoor stadium and loudest outdoor stadium. Like that would be something to really hang your hats on, regardless of where you're at. HL, how many wins would we have had this year without Mahomes? I don't think you have more than two. I don't think the Chiefs have won 2 wins without Patrick Mahomes. And that's just a simple fact. At least if you say it's the same team, you're just taking Patrick Mahomes out and Gardner Minshew is the quarterback. Not we're bringing a whole different quarterback, a whole different starting quarterback in. Maybe that's different, but a lot of what we saw this season with the wins and winning football at all was Patrick Mahomes winning those games on his own. He was asked to carry just about everything. And when you see a shellacking like the defense took from the Tennessee Titans of all teams, that is there's not a lot of words that describe the feeling of watching that yesterday. So hopefully they play with a little bit more pride on Christmas. Chef Boy, thank you for your question. You think we'll leave Trent McDuffie, FAU, and Taylor in Missouri? No. I'm not sure what they're going to do with FAU coming off the injury. It would make a lot of sense for them to just re-sign him because he's going to be fully healthy. There's not going to be a huge market for him coming off an injury, and he's been in Kansas City for a few years now. So that makes sense to me. I'm still of the opinion that Trent McDuffie will be on the roster next year, but I do think that Juwan Taylor will be cut. That's how I see it. Ooh. Wow. Sorry, guys. Got to clean up some of the bots in here. Oscar, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. Sorry. Hey Dan, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and everyone else here as well, you guys. We're getting real close now. How would you feel about Russell Wilson coming in next season? Saw rumors about it. I don't know where you saw rumors about it, but absolutely not. Don't want Russell Wilson anywhere near this football team. He can go work the booth somewhere. That's where he belongs now. He's just not good. And if you're going to change your entire offensive philosophy to throwing the ball down the field every single snap, then maybe, but they won't be doing that. And that's really the only thing that Russell Wilson does well at this point in his, I guess you can say career, but he was in the Fox booth, I think, a couple of weeks ago. He's getting prepared to leave the game of football. And I think that's probably where he should be. KB, thank you very much for the super chat. I'm grateful they didn't leave the Kansas City area. That's me as well. Why didn't Andy sit starters so that they are arrested for the Broncos on national TV? How embarrassed are we going to be? Yeah. One, you're now going to be going up against a pissed off Denver Broncos team at home. And because they not only have to win out to win the division still, I believe, the Jacksonville Jaguars embarrassed them, in my opinion. Bo Nix didn't look very good. Shocking there. Outside of bad tackling from the Jaguars defense, I mean, the explosive run touchdown from RJ Harvey was just poor tackling. And their defense kind of got abused. Funnily enough, they had a bad game. So you're going to get a team that knows you very well and that is going to be pissed off after losing the Jaguars. Yeah, it's not a great thing. But the reason that you can't just sit starters is they want to play. They want to play. Andy Reid is not going to tell Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, Kingsley, any of these starters that they can't play if they want to play. Now, I do think that he maybe should have stepped in with Xavier Worthy and said, you need to have surgery. At least I'm under the opinion he still needs to have surgery on the shoulder. Maybe they should just get that done so we can heal. But again, that's my opinion. That's how I feel about it. I don't know if it's factual. And also, I'm sure he wants to play still as well. So we can't just rest all of the starters because the games don't matter anymore. They still want to play. I just wanted to see them utilize the young guys more. I don't care if the starters play, if they go out there, that's their jobs. They should want to play, and they do want to play. I get frustrated when the young players that you have and that you have had on the roster for the large portion of the season aren't getting snaps, aren't getting valuable experience, and you're doing it on purpose. That's the stuff that pisses me off. And then to answer the last part of your question, it's probably going to be worse than what we just witnessed on Sunday. I'm just going to put it out there. Bozzy, thank you, man. Appreciate the support as well as the super chat. Hey, Dan, thoughts on Davison Igbinosun from Ohio State? He is probably one of my favorite corners just to watch purely. I have a second round grade on Igbinosun. He is actually my corner 8 in this class, and I have a second round grade on him. Tells you what I think about this corner class. I think it's exceptionally good. And Igbinosun is long. He's physical. He plays on the outside. He is a true boundary corner. He tackles well. He is a Chiefs corner. He is. He is, honestly, he's Jalen Watson, but a better man coverage player than Jalen Watson. And he tackles just as well. And I think that he's probably a bit smarter with better ball skills too. So I really do like him a lot. And the fact that he's my corner 8 tells you again how good I think this corner class is. So I'm not going to be right on all of these guys, but watching their tape, there's a lot of fun corners out there. So thank you very much for the support. And I like getting to talk about it. Kyle, thank you for the 10, my friend. What are the pros and the cons and the likelihood and your take on Leo Chanel taking over as the Mike linebacker? Would he be an immediate upgrade over Bolton or just cap savings? So I think the pros are you have a guy who can shed blocks better. You have a guy who's more athletic in space. I don't know if he's as well versed at getting into zone drops as Bolton has gotten, for better or worse. I think he's gotten much better at that. But the cons are he has not practiced as a middle linebacker since he was drafted. He has not proven to be a huge coverage upside player, and we don't know where the development is there. The likelihood is probably not. And my take is that Leo Chanel has the ability to do it, but they paid Nick Bolton to be that guy. So you're not going to see him do that. That's just how I feel about it. And I'd like to see him get more reps there. I'd like to see him get that opportunity, but I don't think so. And it would, if they were to cut Nick Bolton, I don't know. I have not actually, I'll look it up real quickly because I don't think they can actually do that because he just signed that contract. So let me pull that up real quickly here for you, Kyle, and then we will see exactly. Get out of here. All right, so they can't. Yeah, they can't cut him. It's a $23 million dead cap hit to cut him. You have dead cap of $4 million in 2027. That's as earliest. That's as early as they can cut him. So they would have to extend Leo Chanel this offseason and then cut Nick Bolton 2 years from now. So I don't see that as a likely possibility. Appreciate the support. Why did the Chiefs not use Bassa? I would love the answer to that question, Chef Boy. They put McDonald out there over Jeffrey Bassa. I don't know. And I don't really understand a lot of what they've done with the young guys. I really don't understand that part. I wish I had a good answer for you. I really do, because then I wouldn't be so mad about it myself. Doug B, sorry. How many wide receivers do you think they'll retain in 2026? I think they'll still have Worthy, Rice, probably Juju Smith-Schuster, and Jalen Royals. Actually, I hope they also retain Tyquan Thornton. That's how I see it. And then I would prefer if it was just the four of Rice, Worthy, Thornton, and Royals. That's what I would prefer. I imagine they also keep Juju, but we'll see. Trey, what's going on, man? Realistically, who will be the Chiefs' offensive coordinator next season? Can the West Coast offense we currently run evolve? This is a very good question. So thank you for the 5. I think realistically, I don't know. Um, I think it is time to part ways with Matt Nagy. I've believed that for a few years. I still believe it. And realistically, the one guy I'm coming back to is Mike Kafka, as well as Brian Dable, who I've talked about. I think either of those guys would be fine. And I know a lot of people are going to just kind of throw their arms up and say, ugh, at Mike Kafka. But because of his time with Brian Dable and what the Giants offense has looked like since he's taken over, I would be far more okay with that reality, because there's a lot more that I think Mike Kafka can give you from an offensive functionality standpoint, and different ideas that he got while working with Brian Dable that you can make it work. So that's what I see. The second part to your question is, I don't think so. And it's not because it can't, in the sense that they can't take more ideas from other offenses. I think that Andy Reid looks at his offense. He looks at the execution issues and the penalties that they had this year. And he tells himself, I mean, kind of rightfully so, that if we just execute here, if we just block a little bit better here, if this guy doesn't get a penalty here, everything is fine. And that's where I think the disconnect is. I want to see them go back to more pre-Patrick Mahomes outside zone offense, however. That's something you can just bring back and install into the offense when you have the functionality of the offensive line. So in that sense, yes, it can quote unquote evolve, but I don't think Andy Reid's going to be pounding the table for himself to just kind of evolve the offense on its own. Thank you very much. That's a really good question. MT, thank you for the 5. Thanks for the excellent coverage this year, Dan and Ryan. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for being here. We would not be able to do this without you guys. You guys help not just keep the lights on, but you give us great questions, and we love the support you guys show us every single day that we come on here. And that's just something that we love. So thank you very much. Something else we love is getting sponsors in here every single day, every stream, to help you guys not only support us to keep us up here, but to put some money in your pocket.
Underdog just dropped prediction markets, spreads, totals, and team outcomes. And the best part, you can combine them with player picks for bigger multipliers. It's available. You can sign up today with the code RGR Football and make a $5 fantasy entry to get $100 in fantasy bonus entries. Prediction markets are live now in 25 states, including Texas, California, and Florida. And Underdog is available in over 40 states with player picks and draft games. Prediction markets, player picks, all on Underdog.
Thanks so much, you guys, for being here and being part of the RGR football family and Rogue Nation. And again, thank you, MT, for your 5, and thank Underdog for being a sponsor here at RGR Football. Daniel, thank you very much for your question. Hey, Dan, I would like to see Travis Kelce retire and to cut Jawan Taylor, Amenahue, Dana, and Connor, and trade Jones and re-sign McDuffie and Chanel and either Watson or Cook, then build around the younger guys. I mean, that's a giant wish list, and I appreciate the thought that goes into any of those kind of things, guys. So, yes, I think that everyone should have an idea of what they want and also be prepared for none of that to happen. Maybe cutting Taylor and Travis Kelce retiring are the two most likely things. I'm starting to lean towards Travis Kelce not retiring personally, but that's just because I'm talking myself into him not wanting to go out with Patrick Mahomes that way. So, but realistically, Mike Dana, Charles Amenahue will probably be gone. I don't think Chamari Connor is going to get cut. They're going to look to trade Chris Jones. I think they would probably try to. So I don't think that this is a bad holistically bad idea, but I think some of it is unrealistic. B Green, thank you for the 199. If I'm TT, I'm not coming back if they won't use me. Tyquan Thornton, I imagine. The thing is, they are using him. I know it's not the way that everyone wants him to be used or to be more targeted, but they are using him effectively. Like realistically, they are. And I know it's hard to see it, and I know it's frustrating, but it is. They are using him, and it's a frustrating situation. I want to see him back for sure, though. Like I really do. I think that his skill set is needed in Kansas City. Thank you very much for the super chat as well from you, Chris. I see other Chiefs channel that we need to go get love. I like Jeremiah Love. I'm not drafting him in the first round when there are other needs that this team needs. Like I just can't. I just can't get there. I can't do it. I again, and it's not because I don't think he would be good in Kansas City. It's because I just think that they need something besides a running back in the first round that will more help the defense side of the football, and then you draft a running back later. I don't know. Maybe I'm hurt by what they did with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know. Maybe that's me. Another one here from Daniel. Hey, Dan, if Michael Mayer or Kyle Pitts is free agency, which tight end would the team try to sign as a Kelsey replacement in terms of versatility and moving the chains? What say they would go with Michael Mayer because he's going to be the least expensive option. Kyle Pitts, with the way he's playing right now, is going to be expensive. And I don't think the Chiefs are going to be putting that in, especially because I still believe, maybe wrongfully, that Jake Brenningstool will be the receiving tight end of the future. I am very, very high, and I know that he was inactive and not on the roster last week, but hopefully going to the last game of the season, he can get on the roster and be active, and they can play him a little bit because I want to see what he can do. Got to hold out hope. Bozzy, another one here. Thank you very much. Might be crazy take, but Worthy greater than Rice. Thoughts? I'm going to be with you in this sense. I think that he is a better route runner than Rashee Rice is. I also think he's asked to run a more complex route tree than Rashee Rice is. So there's a lot that goes into that, and there's a good chance that I'll be doing a breakdown in the off season about this idea. But I appreciate you putting out that there because I will agree with you on that. I will. Thank you very much, Bozzy. Jesse, Dan, now you're the head coach and the GM. What position do you draft? Starting with your top priority first, again, not Brett Veach and Andy, you. So, me, if they're in the top 10, realistically, if they're in the top 10, let me pull this up here real quick. I'm looking for an edge rusher. That's what I'm doing. I know that Ruben Bain has we now know Ruben Bain has sub 31 inch arms. Not ideal. So that's a hard place to be in, but I will be looking for a defensive tackle. David Bailey is, I know I said I haven't watched him. I haven't watched David Bailey, but he's there in the top 12 of our Bleacher Report rankings. So he also got shut down by their left tackle, I believe. So just some context to that. Again, going back to this, David Bailey is an interesting option, but realistically, if they're at 10, I'm drafting Peter Woods. Defensive tackle, plays kind of like a 4-eye. If you guys don't know what that is, it's just on the inside, lining up just on the inside shoulder of the tackle. That's kind of where he can live and breathe. But realistically, that's who I'm drafting because he can play a lot of different places along the defensive line, and he impacts your defensive line immediately. So probably where I'm going. That high, you could probably talk me into David Bailey if I could watch more tape on him. But if you told me that Arvell Reese fell a little bit, I'd be intrigued there as well, and taking him and making him a defensive end. So yeah, there's some different things that I would do there with my top pick. But I think that Peter Woods is probably the guy that I'd be looking at myself. Priority would be defensive end or defensive tackle if they're getting one of those guys. And then from then on, probably a corner. And that's because I'm really high on this corner class and they still need a corner. Yeah, he is. But he said if it was me, if it's me doing it, I'm allowed to do this. Spags isn't going to do it. I would do it. B Green, thank you very much for another super chat here. I've heard this draft is bad. Is that true? Bad is a relative term for people who want to compare it to previous drafts. I will never do this ever in my life. I don't think it's a bad draft at all. I don't think there are such things as bad drafts. I think people take bad draft because they say, "Oh, there's only 2 quarterbacks in it that you can get." That's what they think. Or, "Oh, there's only maybe 2 or 3 wide receivers I've taken the first round. Oh, maybe this tackle class isn't what we all thought it would be." Realistically, 2 to 3 years down the road is what we're going to talk about from the players. Development happens. Okay. Drafts are only bad through the eyes of the beholder. Every single draft is different. And I will never say a draft is bad. There's just opportunity. Appreciate the support as well. From you, Ertzman. So thank you very much for the support. If you have a question, make sure to put it in the chat and I'll pick it out before. If you did, I apologize. I haven't been able to get to all of them. So thank you very much for the support. Another one here from Chris. Thank you for the $4.99. Who wants Travis Kelce if 87 retires? I know the kid from who wants a tight end if Travis Kelce retires? I know a kid from Stanford looks good. 6'6", 250 pounds. Great at catching, and Andy's playbook is outdated, but can't see it. So this is Sam Roush from Stanford, who I would very much like to see in Kansas City as well. Can play all over, can play in line, brings real blocking. Yes, he's got some trouble, I think, right now catching the football consistently. More concentration drops than anything, but athletic player. Probably a 4th round guy that I think I have marked as a 4th round tight end. So he's fun. I think that he'd be a fun player in Kansas City as well. All right. Last call for super chats, you guys. Again, I apologize that I am not going to get to every single question tonight, and that is just the way it works. If you guys have questions that you want me to answer or you want Ryan to answer, please put them in the comments. You guys can always reach out on Twitter at InHarmsWay19. Do whatever you got to do. I'll try to answer as many questions as possible. I always want to do that. Brenda, thank you very much for the support. One of our members, and most of you that are members that are in here all the time, like Brenda, you know each other. So thank you for being here and supporting everybody. Merry Christmas to you and Ryan and your families. Thank you for all that you do. The same to you and yours, Brenda. Thank you for being here, supporting the channel, and interacting with the regulars and everyone else in here too. It's a lot of fun to see the community build every single week, see how you guys interact with each other for the most part, and support each other. So thank you very much for being here and consistently supporting the channel with everything that you do. Another one here from Bozzy. Rice due at the end of the year, at the end of next year. Do you think he's back? Yeah, I think he's going to come back. I don't think there's anything wrong with Rashee Rice. I also think that they have to have Travis Kelce's replacement, which is Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is the guy seeing the field the same way that Patrick Mahomes does, in the sense of the zone stuff, which is where Travis Kelce has operated over the middle of the field. I think that's something they're going to continue. So yeah, I think he's coming back. We are going to end right here on Ken with the $5. If Kelce asks to play Kelce for QB for his final game at Arrowhead, would you let him? I would give him a drive. I would give him one drive. I'm not having Travis Kelce play an entire game at quarterback. He can have the first drive of the game. That's all he can have. But I don't even think he wants to do that anymore. He had one. He had one throw. I think he talked about it on his podcast a few years ago where he was like, I can't be doing this anymore. He can't. So I would give him one drive if he wanted to have it before he ended his career. And that's what I would do. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And again, nights like this where it's just me, I am not as well versed in picking out the comments from the questions from the comments when it's all flowing like that without my buddy helping me out. But thank you all for being here and tune in. We'll have more content for you guys. Even though it's a short week, it is Christmas week. We will still have a game plan for you on Wednesday for Thursday night against the Broncos. I don't know for a fact if we will be live after the game on Christmas night. That is something Ryan and I will have to talk about. Maybe it'll be on Friday midday that we'll do that, but we'll keep you guys updated with a post before. Actually, I'll probably include it in the game plan for you guys so we can see actually how this is going to work out. But please enjoy the rest of your night. Go watch Grandpa Phil get it done. I just saw him already. He's already thrown 2 touchdowns against the 49ers, so that's cool to watch. And thank you guys for being the best fans out there. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.